Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of AgogeTV with me, your host Phil Leonard, and my co-host Josh Summersgill. On today's podcast, we have our guest Craig Whittaker. Craig's one of our regular members at the gym. He's also the owner for Magic for Children, and he is previously known for acting for 5 minutes on the hit show The Vikings. His IMDb says he was in the he was in The Last Kingdom. Is that The Last Kingdom?
Yeah.
Hollyoaks. Yeah. My personal favourite that he was in 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisp. So
is that because I got my top off?
Did you have your top off?
Wow. Right there.
I tell you what, we'll get straight into this then, because if it's you were not having your top
right,
off,
okay.
Hang on, I want to let me share this with everybody first of all. So hang on. Give me 1 second. This isn't the start to the show I was planning, I'm not going to lie. However, Craig went there first.
I'm twitching because I'm a bit nervous, because I don't know what you're going to show.
Oh, shit!
So,
yeah.
This was my last question, but it's now my first. Please explain.
Yeah, it is a giant pint of Guinness. That is what I'm holding on to.
So, yeah. So that's Craig at his finest. And if you can't see this, if you can't see it, basically Google Craig Whittaker actor, and this is one of the.
No. That one was found on Craig Whittaker Grinder.
Oh, right, sorry, yeah.
I just like the little WhatsApp message you can see at the bottom of Phil's mum that says crackpot next to it.
Wait, that's where you were looking?
Yeah, I like how Josh got all this. And what he actually went for was...
I've already got that picture. I've seen it before.
Seriously though, what not a lot of people know about that picture is that was taken 5 minutes after I started CrossFit LST.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. Like before, I was like, saggy, and I had long hair, and I was really overweight, and had one arm, and
did the eyes. Like a week, like an hour after that picture, just...
Yeah. No, absolutely. Just gradually got better and better.
Right, I'm gonna have to explain that picture for people before, because there is people that actually listen to us and don't see the video. Basically, Craig's got his top off. He's wearing a bandage on his hand like Keith Lemon, and he's basically he's hugging
a punch bag.
It's a boxing rap. You see, it's telling a story as well.
Oh, was it? What story was that?
That I can't punch for shit. If I ever got into the street fight, but like, hang on, wait. That's me wrapping my hands, by the way.
I thought you were just telling me, hurry up, get on with the show.
3 minutes in, Craig.
Move on. So, where are we up to? I feel like this has already descended into chaos, but it's my favourite type.
Entertaining member, lots of accents.
Entertaining member, lots of accents. He's always got a smile and a story to tell for everyone. And basically, I'm going to pass it over to Craig to tell me a bit more about himself and how he found CrossFit and how he come to be one of our wonderful members.
Right. Wow. Well, thank you very much for the intro. That was lovely. Visuals as well. Right. Gosh. Well, I'm Craig, as Phil's just said, 32. Warrington born and raised. On the playground is where I spent most of my days. Chilling out, relaxing, acting all cool, maybe shooting some b-ball. I'm only joking, I won't do that for the rest of the
time. I was like, I hope he does the full thing.
Yeah. Yes, and then what happened? So I used to be an actor, did that for 10 years after I graduated from LIPA, and then moved around a lot with acting. And then, sort of found my way back to Warrington, started entertaining children at the weekends. Originally, it was just going to be a part-time job, and then I just really fell in love with it. And then a few years later, sort of bought business, took over. So that's what I spend most of my time doing now. When I'm not entertaining children and running the business, though, I also work with a separate company called Talk the Talk, where I go into high schools and colleges around the country doing confidence building and positive mindset workshops, which is really challenging, but also really enjoyable, really fulfilling. And then the way I found CrossFit LST really was just by chance. I was driving to the Tip, which is just past the gym.
A lot of that.
I know, right? And I just saw this big warehouse and this big sort of manly looking helmet. No. And now I just sort of, I saw it, and I'd always heard about CrossFit, but to be honest, it had always been like the CrossFit wankers thing. And at the time I was training in another gym, which was very anti-CrossFit, because it was like the sort of, the rumor of it's all fake and it's cheating and it's like all this kipping malarkey and all that. It's not real reps and all that. Yeah. So I'd always sort of just, what was that, Phil?
Josh used to say that as well.
Yeah. So that was my only real reference of CrossFit. But then when I was actually going to the tip at that time, I was moving over to this side of Warrington, and I was looking for a gym that was a bit closer to home. And yeah, just decided to, I think I got in touch via Facebook actually originally, and I think I was probably speaking to Josh.
Yeah, at the time, defo.
Yeah, and then I couldn't actually make the taster sessions for people that had never done CrossFit before, but you guys invited me to come down to an actual class on a Wednesday. And I remember being really nervous about it, because I was like, I didn't really know what I was walking into, and I don't know, just this whole sort of like, one side of it is, oh yeah, it's a taster and it's nice and easy, and it's all, oh, you could come to the real class where men cry and all this sort of stuff. And like, when I walked in, like, just sort of walked into this sort of reception where all these guys were walking around with the tops off, and it was really intimidating, even to me, who loves getting his top off, as you've all just seen. But no, straight away, like, as soon as, I think it was probably Josh actually that opened his mouth first and welcomed me and said hello. It was probably before the session had even started. I felt right at home. I felt really safe. I felt really welcome. And yeah, it's just sort of grown and developed and morphed from there, really.
Beautiful. Excellent. So you're a perennial 6 a.m.er. You love that 6 a.m. class, and I know it helps you set up your day. So how does getting yourself into that 6 a.m. class set you up mentally for the day? Not obviously physically it's great, but mentally I feel like it's the biggest impact that CrossFit seems to have on people. So how does that affect you?
Yeah, it's definitely the biggest, like, the reason that I get up for those 6 a.m. classes, and that, I mean, the fitness side of things and the physical benefits is one thing, but for me the biggest takeaway from CrossFit and from being a member of LST is the mental side of things, like that sort of mental edge that it does give me. Because my job is very demanding in terms of, I've had to either stand up in front of a group of up to 30 kids and, motivate a room full of people. And, bearing in mind that we're talking about teenagers and, adolescents, and I'm visiting areas where perhaps it's a little bit more, like they've not got as many opportunities, and sort of, it can be quite, yeah. No, it can be quite a negative sort of environment sometimes, and when you're the sole sort of source of positivity trying to feed that into the room, it's quite exhausting for you. So for me, the biggest thing that keeps me coming back and that really motivates me to do CrossFit is just that mental edge that it gives me. So getting up out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning, going to CrossFit and doing the 6 a.m. class, whatever sort of day I have, whatever happens, whatever goes wrong, whatever sort of challenges I come across, I can always look back on my day and see that I started it right, and that I started it in a healthy, positive, sort of strengthening way, really. And to be honest as well, what I've learned from CrossFit in terms of that perseverance, in terms of that just chopping things down, keep going, you'll get through it, it'll be fine. If you can't do something now, practice it, and over time you'll get there. All the things that you guys teach us in a class, it's so applicable to everyday life and everyday sort of situations. And I don't think I've ever told you this, but I've stolen so much of what you've said to me and the rest of the class in classes, and I use that in my own material at work myself now as well.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's just
as long as like you've not blamed us for the veganism shit or anything like that.
Very nearly wore my vegan as fuck.
Because that's all you, that.
That's what I would represent. I do have CrossFit cups up and shit.
On the call, he's like vegan.
Like waiting for it.
Wait, when can I get this in?
I'm just upset that we can't go fishing anymore. It's fucking horseshit. I'm just
can't do anything anymore because you meat eaters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let's eat a bat.
Pass me the bat soup. Give it here.
If
it gets us out of this mess, I'll eat a bat. Like,
yeah. And then go fishing.
Just want to do some pull-ups.
Well, I thought, I'm a CrossFit wanker now. I've converted into that, so I might as well do the whole vegan thing as well.
Right. Tell us more about being a vegan. What made you? I don't think, are you still a vegan?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, it started, didn't it? What was the gateway drug that you took? Was it being a fruit before noon or something? Did you call it?
Yes, yeah. No, that's what you called it. So I read a book. She's packed away now. It's not actually in that big pile of books there.
All right.
If you made
no,
it appear out of that, I'd have been well impressed. Just like,
Come on!
what was the book called? I can't remember. But
As
basically, it
life
had
goes.
this. Yeah. It had this sort of chapter in it where it was basically talking about how you should only eat fruit till noon because it cleans your system, and silverback gorillas and all that sort of stuff. All the big healthy mammals in the wild, they live on like a fruit and veg diet. So I did that for a little bit, but didn't really commit to it fully. But then, like a lot of people out there, Phil's gonna love this. I watched The Game Changer.
yeah.
When I was over in Ireland with my fiance visiting her family. Her dad's massive into documentaries and things like that, so me and him watched that together. I thought, oh, okay, that's interesting. I might try that and see if it does have any benefits on, CrossFit and on my sport and things like that. But then I actually watched What the Health, and then I watched Forks Over Knives, and then I watched another one, all whilst I was in Ireland. And basically, the more I watched, the more I decided that I was going to do it. And my sort of 30-second elevator pitch whenever people say, why are you a vegan? Or why do you do it? Is I decided to try it. I decided to try it for my health, but I decided to do it for the planet. And I know that sounds really hippie, and I know it sounds really sort of cheesy. But when I sort of did a bit more research and did a bit more reading and did a bit more investigating past the game changers, and I sort of saw the effects that it was having on the, on the environment and things like that, I just decided to do it for that reason. I'm really trying not to laugh because you two are just sort of sat in the exact same way you looked at me when we played Whack Waste. Like, you sat there with that cheeky, like, keep going, we're going to take the piss out in a minute, keep going.
You're entitled to your own opinion.
You know
right?
what? You're going to ask me a serious question and I'm trying to give you a serious answer.
You know
what I mean?
what? I was genuinely trying not to take the piss out of you. That was the
that was the
I?
That was the off-putting thing.
I was like, he's giving a really good answer here, and I'm not even close to being sold, but I like the answer. So, like,
you know what? I'm not going to say any more about this, but there are others at LST just like me, living in the shadows,
fighting in the shade. Don't like it.
That's it.
Find him and burn him. That was a joke for anybody listening.
Yeah.
Please don't cancel your memberships. Not at this moment.
Please don't cancel your membership. We love you all dearly, and like Craig has. Yeah. No. Anyway, so I forget where we're up to because you gave.
I think we're just looking at the script. Hang on. We're looking at the take the piss out of Craig bit. Yeah, we're still on that. Still on that. Let's go.
That was the whole reason for getting you on, wasn't it?
Yeah. This isn't even going out. This is just you two.
Yeah, no, not good. Right. I was going to ask you to tell us more about being an actor, but I'm going to come back to that in a little bit because you brought up Rat Race, and one of the reasons we wanted to get you on was because obviously we have a lot of things in common with regards to having businesses and generally trying to improve ourselves as a. You checking out your beard in the mirror in the video?
Like, no, it was me and Josh. Our beards were touching.
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
No, so I just wanted to quickly touch on that and say, what sort of advice have you got for people trying to get out of the rat race?
Gosh, I'll let you know when I figure that one out for myself. I think. Gosh, wow, big question. I think for anyone wanting to better themselves or improve their lives, or if anyone ever finds themselves not happy with a situation, what a lot of people tend to do is bury their heads in the sand, and they tend to sort of, like, I've used this analogy and this sort of visualization with both of you, I think. But like, if you sort of imagine that whenever you've got a problem and it's in a box and you know that there's something nasty in there and scary and you don't want to open it up and you don't want to deal with it and you don't want to have to face that problem, what the majority of people tend to do is just shelve it, and they sort of turn the back on it and you hide from it. But that problem will always be there, or that sort of thing that you're not happy with in your life will always be like that until you decide to change something, until you decide to sort of take the box, put it on your lap, open it up and shine a spotlight on it and sort of actually deal with that thing that scares you the most. So that, I guess, could be applicable to job satisfaction, to training, to relationships, to friendships, to, you know,
I agree.
Anything in life really. Like whatever it is that you are scared of, don't hide from it, don't run away from it, don't ignore it, because it will never ever go away unless you decide to do something about it really. And that someone did that visualization to me, and that was what really helped me. It's a case of taking the box, putting it in front of you, opening up the lid, shining a light on it and going, right, let's deal with you. Let's sort this out. Yeah. So in terms of getting out of the rat race, you know, if you're not happy with your work circumstances or your situation in life, what can you do about it? You know, take responsibility, take ownership. You know, what can you do to make that situation change? What can you do to better your situation? What can you do to better your mental health? What can you do to better your physical health? What can you do to benefit your relationship, your friend? You know, there's always more that we can do as individuals to improve what's going on around us. And, you know, there's so many cheesy phrases that I could come out with right now, like be the change you want to see in the world and all that, but they're true. And that's really what it's all about.
No, yeah, you're 100% right, and it's a message that I think we've been pushing a lot on these podcasts, in previous podcasts, that like you've just got to take some action and do something for yourself as a lot of the time. I think people forget that, especially nowadays as well. Like they get so caught up in everything that they're doing that they forget to have a plan and do something that's actually going to impact themselves and improve them. They feel like they're being selfish or whatever, but spending an hour a day on you and improving yourself just like can have a massive psychological impact on your positivity and how you feel.
Absolutely, yeah.
Whether that's going to the gym, reading some books, educational stuff, massive. So no, I think that's a brilliant answer. I love it. We'll go back to taking the piss out of you now for a bit.
Yeah.
So I want you to tell me a bit more now about being an actor and how you actually, like, you know, you went into it a little bit, but how you transitioned into owning magic for children, and what that transition kind of looked like for you, and if you can, some fun stories about when you was an actor, because I know you've got a few.
Right. Okay. Well, the way that I got into being an actor, I guess it was something that I always did from a very early age. Like, sort of did my first ever play when I was 7 years old, and then sort of did lots of amateur dramatics, and you know, sort of learned how to play the guitar when I was at school, and yes, I was in choirs and all those cool things that, you know, get you the chicks. I was in all the school plays, you know, just did all of it really. And then when it came to choosing a university, really wanted to be an actor, and LIPA, you know, I sort of visited all sorts of different universities across the country. But when I visited LIPA, which is over in Liverpool, it just felt like the exact same way that I felt when I walked into LSD, really. It just felt like home when I walked in. And I was really fortunate, you know, the sort of, to get into LIPA, they work it out that you have to beat 300 other people for that one place, because over 3,000 people apply to get into a course which only accepts 30 people. And it is like a worldwide thing. You know, they audition people all over the world, and people from all over the world come to get into LIPA because it is that sort of, it's that good really. And LIPA was my first ever professional audition. And then I felt really passionate about it. I really wanted to get into LIPA because, like, that's where I felt like I belonged. Anyway, the audition day sort of splits into two, where they audition you and then they call you back in the afternoon, and then you kind of just have to wait for a letter through the post. So I got through to the second round, did the full day, and then just had to wait and see whether or not I got the place. Anyway, to sort of split my bets, I was going to still audition at other schools, but when I was filling in the UCAS form, there's a question on it that said, why do you think you should come to our school? And when I was answering that question for LIPA, I wrote about 4 separate pages. I had to actually staple pages to that sheet because I just wrote and I wrote and I wrote and I meant every single word. Anyway, I was remembering I was auditioning then for the Royal Welsh Academy of Music and Drama, which you two know is a really difficult school for me to pronounce, the Royal Welsh Academy. Yeah, an R and a W next to each other. Anyway, it came to the same question and I couldn't write anything. Just nothing was coming to mind. So I remember really dramatically sort of putting the pen down on the piece of paper, pushing the paper aside, and my mum and dad were in the living room with me at the time. I said, it's LIPA or nowhere. I'm not applying anywhere else. And they went mad at me because like the government was changing the sort of support scheme, and it meant that I wouldn't have been able to afford to go to school the year after if I didn't get in anywhere that year. I said, I don't care. It's LIPA or nowhere. That's where I belong. That's where I need to be. And yeah, fortunately I got in. So that was like my first sort of big sort of break into the industry, I guess. And then yeah, I did 3 years at LIPA, graduated with 2-1, got an agent, nice agent down in London called BWH. And then yeah, got straight on their books. And for the first year of my acting career, didn't get a single job. And it was a real big sort of learning curve for me. And it was something that it really taught me a lot actually, because leading up to that point, I'd always found it quite easy. Things had always come my way quite easily. You know, like when I was at school, because not a lot of lads do drama or did drama in Warrington when I was growing up. I always got the main parts because 9 times out of 10, I was the only lad doing it. So I probably wasn't even that good. It was just I was the only guy like around doing it. But still, it meant that I was always the one getting the leads. I was always the one getting like the main parts. I was always being told yes. And even when I went to LIPA, I had a very similar experience. So then when I actually left drama school and I was sort of in the big wide world and I started getting told no, it was a real knock to my confidence. And it took me a full year really. And again, it's sort of like something again that I know that we talk about a lot is that sort of the voices in our heads that we all have, the voice that says you can do it and the voice that says you can't do it. Like, I think that depending on your circumstances in life, everyone's got a voice that's either slightly louder or slightly more quiet than the other one. So up until the point of me being told no, the voice in my head was always, yeah, you can do it. Yeah, you're going to be great. Oh yeah, you'll get that part. No problem. And it was really encouraging and really sort of positive. But then after a year of being rejected and a year of being told no and a year of failing, like all of a sudden that voice was turned down, and a voice that I'd never heard before was sort of coming up in my head saying, oh, you're not that good. You know, no one likes you. You're a terrible actor, and and all those sorts of things. So I had to really relearn how to be positive and how to sort of be confident and how to apply myself when the chips were down, really.
Did you do anything specific for that? Was it like, did you do some drills or something? Like, I know a lot of people use the drill of looking at what they can control and having like a circle of things they can control, a circle of things that they can't, and then just focusing on what they can. Or did you have something specific that would be?
Honestly, it was a bit of a spiritual moment, I guess, would be the sort of best way to explain it. Here we go. Just going to read you off in this book. It's called Jehovah. No, it's honestly, that's the only way I can explain it, really. I was in the Lake District, and I was feeling really fit. It's like, I was in Coniston, that's where I go camping a lot. And I was in Coniston, and one morning I just woke up really early, and I felt really angry, and I felt really down, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I was sort of like, I'd gone on the holiday thinking that when I came back from the holiday, I was either going to quit acting or I was going to be sort of inventing myself, I guess, or like sort of, going back in with a new sort of level of strength. Anyway, I just woke up randomly one morning really early, and I just decided that I wanted to go for a run. And I remember setting off on the run, and I said to myself, right, when I come back from this run, I'm going to have a plan and I'm going to know what I'm doing. I didn't know what I was going to say. I didn't know what was going to happen. I just, I didn't go out with an agenda. I just like sort of knew that I had to have some sort of decision. How I was going to get to that decision, though, I didn't really know. Anyway, I was running, and I was doing this run that I always did. And I got to the point where I'd normally stop and turn around, but I just felt like running. So I just carried on running.
I was going to go there as well.
Yeah. So I just carried on running. Anyway, I came to a split road, and the sort of going down to the right, it was sort of downhill and really easy. Or if I went uphill, it was like going off road, and it was like going up on a hill. So I decided to take the harder path. So I was running up the harder path, and I was like sort of going off road. And again, I came to another crossroads where again, it was like an easier path or a harder path, which was going up even steeper. And again, I took the harder path. So I was almost like scrambling up this mountain now. And I was basically doing a climb, but jogging at the same time. And I didn't have a phone. I didn't take any water with me. And no one knew where I'd gone because I didn't think I was going to be gone that long. But when I was on the run, the weather sort of changed a little bit, and it started to get really like rainy, and like the clouds started to set in because I was quite high up. And I actually got a little bit turned around. Like, it was literally to the point where I held my hand out in front of me and I couldn't really see it. So I was just like carried on walking and things like that. And then I saw a group of climbers and walkers, like they all had the colourful proper gear on. So then I sort of scrambled down, jogged over to them, and I went, "Excuse me, could you tell me which way Coniston is?" Because I had no idea where I was now. And I knew I was in trouble when one of them went, "Coniston?" And I went, "Yeah." And he went, "Have you come from Coniston?" I went, "Yeah." He went, "Right, would you see that big mountain over there?" I went, "Yeah." He went, "You need to get over that, and then it's about 5 more miles that way." I was like, "Oh, okay." And I just off I went, and I sort of jogged in that direction, and I sort of went over the mountain, and it was like, and I wasn't on a path either. I was like sort of pushing through hedges, and I was proper in the middle of nowhere, and didn't really know where I was going. But I wasn't panicked, and I wasn't really bothered. I was just jogging. Anyway, I got to the bottom of the mountain. I sort of saw a road in the distance, which I recognised. Sort of jogged across this field, pushed through these like hedges, tried to get onto the road. And then I literally remember as I pushed through the hedges and put my foot down on the path where, it was flat and it was straight and I knew where I was again. Just this phrase popped into my head where it just said, "Be patient." And that was all it was. It was just this, I don't know what, call it whatever you want, the voice of God or a spiritual intervention or just, I don't know. It was just this phrase just in my head, "Be patient." And I sort of jogged back to my campsite and, sort of got showered and got something to drink. And I sat down and I thought about it. And I realized that on the whole jog and on the whole sort of, activity, I'd always chosen to take the harder path. Whenever I was given the option to turn around, whenever I was given the option to take the easier road, I always chose the harder path. And at no point did I panic, and at no point did I sort of stress or freak out or anything. I just stayed cool and I just carried on going. I carried on pushing forwards, and I just sort of stayed patient. And eventually I found my way home. And I just sort of thought, right, I can apply that to anything and everything, but I can definitely apply it to acting as well. Anyway, first thing I did when I got home is I got some new headshots done. I sort of, just started to read more. I started to watch. Sorry, Phil.
Was that the one I showed everybody earlier?
Yeah, one of them. That's how I looked at the end of the jog.
Yeah.
And then literally my first audition after that was for Doctors on the BBC, and I got the part.
Right.
And I'd love to say that was the start of my, beautiful, brilliant, career in acting, but it never was that. It was always this case of up and down, up and down, up and down. Like, there'd be times when I'd get the work, there'd be times when I wouldn't get the work. So many sleepless nights thinking about, and worrying about the work. But
I suppose it looks quite glamorous, doesn't it, acting, from someone who's never been involved in the industry. I mean, you see it on TV or whatever, and it's like, oh my God, that's insane. But I suppose anything, people don't realise what kind of goes on behind the scene. So obviously in terms of what you just said then, your first 12 months without even a single job, I don't think people kind of realise that.
One of the hardest things though as well is that it's one of those jobs where everyone's got an opinion on it as well. Because because people watch the TV and because people go to the cinema or because, they think everyone's got something to say about it. And the hard thing when I wasn't acting and I was working in retail or coffee shops or supermarkets or, I was doing part-time sort of work that didn't require too much commitment from me and I could sort of drop in and out. Whenever people would get to know me a little bit and I'd say, "Oh, I am an actor," they'd always be really negative about it and be like, "Oh, well, it's not a very good career, is it?" And well, you're not really, because, and all that sort of stuff. And, I remember once getting into a conversation about it and this guy was really opinionated and he was really almost sort of bordering on rude. And I just turned around and said, "What do you do for a living, mate?" And he went, "Oh, I'm sort of working a bleach company," where he basically sort of works as a chemist, but it specialised in bleach. I went, "Right, well, I use bleach down my toilet, but it doesn't mean that I know everything about your job, does it?" And it was just that sort of thing.
You put bleach down your toilets?
Yeah.
You are not looking after the environment, Mr. Whittaker.
Hey, we know where COVID comes from now. So yeah.
So that was really good.
That was awesome. You know what? I'm gonna sort of move on next because
that's a long story.
No, I think that's a really good message for people to leave it on there, because Genuinely, you're both going to take the piss now, but my favourite poem is the Robert Frost poem, and it's called The Road Less Travelled, and it's basically what you just said there, and then just...
Phil, I wouldn't take the piss out of you, mate. I support you. You're a friend, you know?
I just never put Phil and poetry together. Like, fucking hell.
Yeah, no, me
Learn something every day.
I know, right? I've got a favourite poem. I think it's the only poem I know, to be fair, but we'll go with that. But no, it's like, again, like just everything you said there, the road less travelled, the one that if in doubt, choose the harder path, because that's the one that's going to lead to better results and get you. I think people just feel more satisfaction from taking the harder route sometimes as well, which is like important, because you could have got to exactly where you are now, but would you be as proud of yourself? Do you know? Which is
that's what we were talking to Trav about, wasn't it? That's what he was saying a lot, like, you know, do the hard work and get the benefits from it. And the whole be patient thing as well, that seems to be something that's coming up every time we speak to people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Any kind of advice that anyone gives to anybody, regardless of the industry, it revolves around be patient.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Put the work in and, like, you know, just be patient. They don't want it like now. None of this instant gratification rubbish. Do you know what I mean? Work for it and be patient, and obviously, like, you know, the rewards for it.
Yeah.
I think if you were to make that sort of applicable to the time that we're living in at this moment as well, even like, you know, with the fact that we're in isolation, we're in lockdown, you know, no real clue what's going to be happening, you know, this time next week, or whether they're going to suddenly announce that we've got another however long to stay in isolation. It's about sort of finding what can you control within this situation, and be patient, like, with the things that are out of your control, but look inwards to what you can control, what you can improve, what you can create, develop, build upon, discover, learn, what positives can be found in this current situation that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, definitely.
Completely agree. We're going to finish up with some final questions. I call them.
Oh yeah, fun stuff.
It's just for me to add to my reading list, if I'm honest with you, or my watch list. If you could give me a film, or in fact, no, I'm going to go book recommendation.
Game changers.
That impression is getting so much better, though.
I'm trying. You know, I want to shave head off next as well.
Yeah.
Next up,
you need to lose a bit of muscle as well.
Give me.
I'm gone.
Josh just tried to eat a plant. That was I think that's the closest he's got to eating anything green ever.
No, I had some spinach like a couple of days ago.
In your best South African accent, what's your number one book recommendation?
In my best South African accent, I don't know what you're laughing at. It's like Jono's in the room. Shoot that prawn. I can't recommend a book and do South African. I can't think that much.
Go on then, go.
This is why he didn't get a job for 12 months.
Oh dear. What sort of book though? Like, just in any book?
Anything.
Any, just whatever, like, number one book that you'd recommend.
Self-help book, probably Atomic Habits and How to Change Them. That was like a big. There it is.
Yeah.
That really helps, just because it really ties in with what I think I just said a minute ago in terms of the little things.
Yeah.
It really goes into detail about how small habits that we find ourselves falling into, even a small habit such as I can't do it, or I'm, you know, the small negative little reactions we have to certain challenges. It talks about how those small habits can actually have big impact on your life and on where you do end up. And I think that book just really gives you all sorts of different ways to attack that and to approach that and to think about that as well. So in terms of self-help, fiction, I'm a big fan of Jan Martel. He wrote Life of Pi, which people people recognize it because of the film, but it was a book that I read a couple of years before the film came out, and I'm very happy to admit this, like, at the end of the book I nearly cried, and it's the only book in the world that's ever had that effect on me, because it was just so beautifully written, and it's such a...
I cried at the Avengers. You open up, bro, it's fine.
Yeah, well, at least that's manly and cool, like, you know.
Have you seen Endgame?
Sorry? Have I seen Endgame?
They said, have you seen Endgame when they all come back?
Mate,
I'm like, oh.
Singles.
All you have to,
I'm
do is just look on your left, and he just starts weeping. He's
yeah,
like,
yeah, but he never hears that because no one ever passes him. So yeah, Life of Pi for fiction. Yeah, those two, I guess.
Love it.
Next question: one person, dead or alive, you could learn. You get to spend a day with them, and you can learn everything you can from them in a day. Who would that be?
Wow.
Oof.
Oh my gosh. Like when you say I can learn everything from them, is it sort of like they take their knowledge and it's like it's in there?
Like you've got a day to get as much out of them as you can.
Yoda.
Oh my god. And it's got to be. Sorry, did you say real or fictional or both?
No, dead or alive, just
Dead or alive.
So like Josh's would be Yoda because it's Josh.
You don't want to use the Force.
Relative. Wait, yeah, but Yoda's a fictional character.
So?
Oh, well, Superman then.
Yeah, but Superman doesn't know anything. He's just a super dude with all these talents.
Yeah, but still, like, you'd want to meet Superman, wouldn't you, if you could?
He wouldn't approve of you if you don't eat meat.
No way to
from the other room. Right. Okay. No, they're not actual real life person.
A real life person. You know what? I'd guess I'd love to meet my granddad.
Right. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I know that's probably not like very sort of profound or anything, but I never really. I've got fond memories of him as a child, and I just think that he would have been a really cool guy to know as an adult.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I like that.
That's a good answer. Last question is: in a film about your life, who would play you other than you? So you're not allowed to say yourself.
You know what? I'd get either of you two to do it. If we could get both of you to do it, then that'd be brilliant. Like, so I'd Phil as like sort of Craig with a beard, because I used to have hair and no beard, and then Josh, I'd be like me now. And the reason I do it that way is because then you'd both have to be vegan whilst you're in that part. You'd have to live that part.
You wasn't a vegan when you didn't have a beard.
No, but you'd have to sort of. All right, okay. Well, I'd still come up with some sort of shit thing that I have to do, and you know. But yeah, I'd do like that.
Go climbing mountains for no apparent reason, I believe.
Yeah. You'd have to be back there and do all the stupid shit I used to have to get up to.
Right. Okay. Awesome. So before we leave, I just want you to really quickly give us your elevator pitch for Magic for Children. Anything else that you want to talk to us about, and we'll link up to Magic for Children and the new stuff you do for COVID-19 in all the show notes and everything like that. So 3, 2, 1, go. Give us your elevator pitch, bro.
Magic for Children are a children's entertainment business where we focus on delivering children's entertainment to children aged between 4 to 8 years old. We usually deliver 2-hour parties consisting of games, magic, and disco. We deliver parties at birthday parties, christenings, weddings, and other special events. And we also do school shows where we deliver education through entertainment. And the 2 programs that we've got available at the moment are the Magic of Books, which you can see behind me, and the Magic of Mindfulness. But both of those are focused on and delivered to Key Stage 1. And what we've done since COVID-19 is we've basically adapted every single thing that we do to all be delivered online. All of my online programs at the moment are all being offered for charitable donations. So I put no fixed price on any of our online packages. Reason being that I'm aware that times are tough for a lot of people right now, and a lot of children are potentially going without birthday parties at this moment in time. And that for me is the biggest shame of all, because when you're a 5 or 6 year old, your birthday party is what you spend your whole year looking forward to. And then to have to miss out on that is really quite sad. So to make it accessible to all children, it's all done on a donation if you're able to, and if you wish to donate to Magic for Children. And yeah, that's more than 30 seconds, but there you go.
No,
elevator got stuck. It's fine.
I forgot as well. I meant to ask you to either show us a magic trick or do some like ventriloquism with your puppet or something like that.
Oh my goodness me!
He's like what's his name? The guy who used to always have the puppet that he used to talk to.
Which Jimmy Savile?
He's exact. Probably not.
Yeah.
We're trying to get you some work here, bro.
Put me on the spot here, mate. I'll tell you what. I'll do this one. So I'll just take this deck of cards and I'll make it smaller for you, okay? So I'll take these cards. You two are going to have to join in with this one, though.
Right.
Yeah, so what you both need to do is wiggle your fingers at the camera like this and shout out the word smaller. All right, so we'll just quick practice, all right? So on the count of 3, 1.
Away from the camera, I'm going to be fuming.
No, 1, 2, 3, let's just practice. Smaller.
Smaller.
Come on, guys, I do this with kids and they get it right. So what happened when
I'm giving it
the
good.
cards should go nice and small, but that was just a practice and nothing will have happened yet, okay?
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, did you do it? Right, hang on, let's try it again. Right, hang on. Okay, ready? So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3.
Smaller.
That's it, Josh. Well done. All right, so hang on. Wait, what? Have you made it?
Oh, okay.
Right, hang on. Let's try it again. Let's see if we can make it go any smaller. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Smaller.
Smaller. So you're just holding them further away from the camera. They're just at the back of the room.
No, that's how we do it with you, Josh. Right, hang on. Let's see if we can do it again. All right. No. Right, let's try it again. You ready?
Oh my god, my phone's fucking
Do it one more time. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Smaller. Okay, yeah.
Look at this massive can of Fitty. I can put my arm around it like Craig in the punch bag.
Well, it's all about perspective, innit, bro? No, that's it.
I'm used to a round of applause, but whatever, guys. It's
Hey.
No.
Bravo.
For those of you that didn't say, Craig genuinely made. Oh, it's he didn't genuinely do it because he's not really magic. But
You guys just saw that I am.
he made a deck of cards progressively smaller. It was somewhat impressive. I won't give him too much credit though because I don't want him to get too big. So
There's no chance of that happening with you two around.
Right, Craig, thanks for joining us today. Thank you very much for the time. It was
awesome. Thank you,
mate. Before we go, obviously, we're making sure that we thank all the emergency services and NHS staff for all the hard work at this time. I could just know that Rachel can hear me. Thanks everyone for tuning in to another episode of AgogeTV. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Leave us a 5-star review and comments where possible, and please share as much as you can. All the stuff that we've talked about today will be in the show notes, including links up to Magic for Children. So please check out Craig, find him where you can. And thank you very much, guys. Peace.